A crisp fall afternoon painted the suburban park in golden hues as families spread out across picnic tables and kids raced around, their laughter echoing through the air. Amidst it all, 8-year-old Ethan became the unexpected star of the show. With boundless energy, he launched into an impromptu dance routine, stomping his tiny sneakers into the dirt and swinging his arms wildly. "Trump dance!" he shouted proudly, his cheeks flushed with excitement. He'd learned the moves from a viral video his dad played on repeat, and now he was putting his unique twist on them. His enthusiasm, however, wasn't appreciated by everyone. Karen, a sharp-featured woman in her early 40s, spotted him from across the park. Dressed in a beige trench coat with an oversized designer scarf draped just so, she clutched her pumpkin spice latte like a scepter of moral authority. Her face tightened in disapproval, lips pursed so firmly they looked welded shut. "Unbelievable," she muttered, stalking toward the boy as her scarf billowed dramatically behind her. Ethan, mid-spin, froze when Karen planted herself in front of him. "This is a public space," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the park's cheerful atmosphere. "You can't flaunt that name here. People have feelings, you know." Ethan blinked, his grin fading as confusion took its place. From a nearby bench, his mom, Amy, had been casually scrolling her phone. But the moment Karen's words hit her son, Amy shot up like a firework. "Excuse me?" Amy's voice was calm, but carried an edge sharp enough to rival Karen's scarf. She strode over, flipping her messy ponytail back like she was gearing up for battle. "He's dancing. Since when is that a crime?" Karen turned, arms crossed, her latte held high like she was auditioning for the role of Judge Judy. "Children should be taught to respect community standards," she retorted. "You're encouraging divisive behavior." The argument was gaining an audience. Families subtly paused their conversations, and a few teens openly aimed their phones at the scene, recording with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. Karen seemed to revel in the attention, her posture straightening as if she were about to give a keynote speech. But not everyone was impressed. Sitting casually on a bench nearby was a tall man in his early 50s, his sharp navy suit paired with a bright red MAGA cap. He leaned back, arms crossed, watching the confrontation unfold with an expression of mild interest. His piercing gaze locked onto Karen like a spotlight, though his face betrayed nothing but calm amusement. He adjusted his cap slightly, then stood up, his commanding presence shifting the energy in the park. Karen didn't notice. Yet. But the crowd did, and the tide was about to turn. Karen's voice rose another octave, pulling Ethan's mom, Amy, into a full-blown shouting match. Amy, a feisty brunette with zero patience for nonsense, was not one to back down. She leaned in, gesturing sharply as she spoke. Karen, arms crossed and face flushed, rebutted with theatrical outrage that could have earned her an Oscar nomination for Best Suburban Villain. "Your child is the problem," Karen barked, her latte quivering in her hand. "Teaching him this kind of behavior is why society is falling apart." Amy smirked. "Lady, if dancing is society's downfall, you must have missed the real headlines." The crowd, now thoroughly entertained, began inching closer. Whispers rippled through the onlookers, phones held aloft, capturing every juicy moment. A teen muttered, "This is better than Netflix," earning a stifled laugh from her friend. Leaning against a nearby bench, Michael Worthington straightened up. At 6'3", with a tailored suit and a MAGA cap perched confidently on his head, he looked like a Wall Street titan casually dropped into a playground scuffle. Adjusting his watch, he strode toward the fray, his every step deliberate. "Excuse me," Michael said smoothly, his baritone voice slicing through the chaos like a gavel striking order. "Is there a problem here?" Karen spun to face him, her indignation firing on all cylinders. "Oh, great!" she sneered, scanning his red hat. "Another one of you. You people think you can just waltz in and do whatever you want." Michael tilted his head, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Waltz? No, that's a bit formal for a kid's dance. Maybe a jig?" A ripple of chuckles from the crowd visibly rattled Karen, but she pressed on. "This isn't about the kid. It's about respect for the comfort of others." "Respect?" Michael's smirk vanished, replaced by a glint of steel in his eyes. Ah, of course. By respect, you mean shutting down anything you don't like. Got it. Karen faltered but found footing in outrage. You're just another privileged jerk in a red hat. What do you know about respect? Michael casually pulled out his phone and began typing. More than you'd expect, he muttered, glancing briefly at the crowd before sending off a text. Something in his calm demeanor hinted that Karen had just stepped onto a very slippery slope. The murmurs grew louder as people shifted their attention. Michael's calm authority seemed to drain Karen's confidence, though her lips twitched in defiance. Whatever was coming, the crowd could feel it, a storm brewing behind his polished exterior. Karen's voice reached a fever pitch, her arms flailing as she turned to the crowd. You all see what's happening here, right? This is why... The low, commanding hum of engines silenced her mid-rant. Heads turned toward the park's edge, where 3 sleek black SUVs rolled to a stop with synchronized precision. Doors opened, and out stepped a small entourage in crisp suits. Lawyers with leather briefcases, PR reps clutching notepads, and a journalist who immediately began snapping photos and jotting notes. The scene shifted from petty squabble to something far more official. Karen froze, her complexion fading several shades. What is this? She stammered, clutching her latte like it was her last lifeline. Michael stepped forward, his polished shoes crunching the gravel with purpose. The red MAGA cap still perched on his head, contrasted sharply with the air of authority emanating from him. He turned to the crowd, his voice calm, yet resonating with the weight of command. I'm Michael Worthington, he began, his tone measured but firm. I own several properties in this town, including the retail chain where Karen here likes to shop. Gasps rippled through the growing audience like a wave. The teens recording exchanged wide-eyed looks, one whispering, "Oh, this just got real." Karen's jaw dropped, her face morphing from pale shock to a deep, blotchy red. I didn't know," she stuttered, her usual bravado evaporating. Michael didn't miss a beat. "You didn't care," he countered, his words sharp but steady. "Instead of encouraging a child expressing joy, you chose to humiliate him, all because you were uncomfortable. That doesn't sit well with me." The crowd murmured in agreement, and Karen's flustered attempts at rebuttal dissolved into incoherent sputtering. She glanced around desperately, searching for someone, anyone, to back her up. But the spectators had turned from passive onlookers to active critics, their gazes heavy with judgment. Michael gestured toward the park. "This space, by the way, I helped fund it, along with countless other community projects. Projects meant to bring people together, not tear them apart." Karen took a step back, her mouth opening as though to protest, but no sound came out. The journalist's camera clicked rhythmically, capturing her growing discomfort. Michael's voice softened slightly, but the edge remained. "It's not too late to reflect, Karen. You might start by apologizing to the boy." Karen blinked rapidly, her confidence crumbling under the weight of his words. As the crowd leaned in, hungry for her response, Michael adjusted his cap, the sunlight glinting off the bold lettering. The moment hung heavy, and Karen realized, too late, that her self-made stage had become her public downfall. Michael turned to Ethan. "Kid, how about we show them your dance one more time? I think it's worth celebrating." Ethan grinned and launched into his routine, cheered on by the growing crowd. Karen, meanwhile, stood frozen as whispers swirled around her. Some filmed her, others openly criticized her behavior. Michael addressed Karen directly. "You can apologize or leave. Your choice." Shaking, Karen muttered a half-hearted apology and retreated, her humiliation complete. As she slinked away, Michael turned to Ethan's mother. "Your son has talent," he said warmly. "If you're interested, I sponsor a youth arts program. Let's make sure his creativity continues to shine." The park erupted in applause as Ethan finished his dance with a triumphant spin. Michael's cap caught the sunlight as he raised his hand in a gesture of victory. That day, Karen became a cautionary tale. And Ethan, he became a local hero, all thanks to the man in the MAGA cap who refused to let prejudice win.